We'll start here in a second. We have our no need to rush, Shelby. I know it. Okay, I'm y'all ready to go? I'll let you sit down before I start talking, Shelby. We're a red light means go, right? Everywhere it doesn't, but anyway. Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the October meeting of the Historic District Commission for Conway. First thing is our roll call. I'm Steve Hurd, chairman. Want to go your way or?
Marie Kaysen.
Do your mic button.
Shelby Fiegel.
The red light will come on, but only like 3 at a time, so make it button.
Margaret West.
So she doesn't know how to do it either.
It's the voice.
Shane Lind.
We'll get the microphone thing down before
Margaret
we're done.
West. I pushed the wrong button, sorry.
Apparently, I think only 3 of us can have a red light at one time, except me. Mine stays red all the time. But with that said, we have first thing we have to do business-wise for us are the minutes from last time. If I can get some discussion about that or motion or whatever you guys want to do. Somebody.
Motion to accept.
Okay, I've got a motion to accept.
I second.
Okay, everybody, any comments on it? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all right. Okay, jumping into public hearing, we have all 3 items tonight are from the old Conway Design Overlay District, so we only wear one hat tonight instead of our historic district, A.C.P. Robinson District as well. The couple of rules for presenting your items to the applicants. When you get up, come up to the podium here. I've got a video here or a picture here of everything that's being put behind me. So we've got graphics, things that are in the packet. But I just need you guys, whoever's talking for it, to speak just kind of quickly about what you're proposing. I may have a few questions at that time. Then I'll ask for anybody else to speak in favor if there is anybody, and then anybody speak in opposition to it. Just as a rule of how we operate. And once that's done, we'll bring it back to ourselves here and discuss it and discuss with whoever's applying as well and deliberate and deal with the items. So pretty cut and dry. But when you come up, I need whoever speaks. I need your name and home address for the record. It's planning committee. Everybody does it. That's just part of what we do for the city. So if you can do name and address, and then we'll move on. So with that said. First item we have is the Conway's First Church of the Nazarene addition on Scott Street. If we've got somebody to speak for that.
Ready to push any buttons?
No, you're live. Yeah.
My name is Tim Britton at 1505 Gardenia in Conway, 72034.
And I serve,
maybe you did. I'm sorry.
I did need to push a button.
You project though.
Yeah, that's all right. I serve as the lead pastor at Conway First Church of the Nazarene. So I'll be speaking on behalf of the church, I guess, in favor of the proposal. It's pretty much as presented in the packet of information that was produced in preparation for this meeting. As it says, there's a 10,000 square foot addition. It's primarily children's ministry space. Also has some lobby area that will flow into our existing structure, and then there'll be kind of a cafe welcome area that we would serve coffee at in there in the connecting spot as well. On the picture that you have on the screen right now, the stone structure in between the existing building and the new building is part of the offset. I don't know when we'll get into some of those questions that you wanted some clarification on. Mm-hmm. The placement of the building is really necessitated by an elevator shaft that will tie into the second floor of the existing building, and that it's going to need to be placed where that structure is. And so that's part of the reason that the offset of the building is as it is. I'm happy to answer any questions. We were in agreement with all of the staff recommendations.
Okay, so you have seen those.
So there's not anything that we would be argumentative about from that. But we're happy to field any questions or try to clarify any information that we can.
Okay,
for that.
and we'll do that in a minute. But let me ask if anybody else here to speak for or against, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Anybody else here to speak for the application? Anybody here to speak against the application? Anybody have a general question about the application? Okay, with that said, just come back up there. We can bring in us. Just for clarification too, what we were given the elevations and that rendering are as what you're proposing. The site plan is slightly different.
So yeah,
And
I'm not sure. When I reached out to our builder asking about the site plan, I said, hey, the building or the HDC would like the updated site plan.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was a timing issue for him or if he thought the changes were going to be subtle enough. But he said, go ahead and present what we have right now.
Right.
And if we need to
I mean,
represent those minor changes, I think there was a.
It's
so
actually
the-
it's set back a little further than what your rendering shows. It's got a deeper drive with landscaping between parking and drive, which the rendering has a little bit of that in there, but it's just it also doesn't have the drive under the canopy, which
sir.
I think on the site plan looks a little awkward trying to make it work.
Right.
Where I like the clean version of what the rendering shows. I mean, if that's what you want to go
Yes,
with.
sir. We did. I believe that site plan also shows a covered drop off on the back side of the building.
Oh, right.
And so we were comfortable eliminating the covered drop off,
The front one.
But that drive is still really important for the church and people being able to conveniently
Sure, and
drop off.
I have no problem with that. I think without it looks like there's some room to the rendering shows it may be a little closer to the street, which I think was part of what was some of the discussion in the recommendations, and eliminating the canopy takes care of a lot of stuff. I mean, for you guys, even in building it or dealing with it. But I mean, personally, I'm talking here. Personally, I like the rendering. I mean, I think that's again, we met, before.
We did, yeah.
with that
Pre-COVID, we kind of started the ball rolling
Right.
and realized
And
our builder had not paid close enough. Our building and architect hadn't paid close enough attention to the.
It's just that's understandable, but
Yep.
I think you guys come back with a nice alternative. From
Thank
the
you.
first
We
time.
appreciate that.
I mean, I could. Y'all want me to talk forever, or I can. But anybody have any questions? I guess is the next thing. We can do some other detailed talking in a minute. There's not much, but anybody have any questions or comments? I think you're talking about the elevator shaft being necessary, which that's a given. The rendering again, I think it answers the questions as far as you can tell the difference in the two buildings, and I don't have a problem with that setback.
Okay.
That's not an issue with me. I mean, Liz, architecturally, I think it's a handsome addition to that building that's there, and you're not trying to copy the sanctuary that was there. I mean that wasn't expected.
That it goes well with.
Yeah, I think it does. So I'm applauding you from our first meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. That was part of the beef, I think, in the first meeting was it looked like we had just attached a block next to the existing structure. And so we're trying to honor the things that we talked about in that meeting with roof slope and exterior character and the limited design elements it's a pretty basic building that we currently have. Right. This will actually, I think, improve the overall look of the building.
I agree. And, setback, it's not as prominent to the street as the original piece there, but the entry is more prominent. It's just it's. I'm not trying to sell it to you, but no, I'm complimenting the I think the design we've got here, and now you got all the square footage to put in it. Mm-hmm. It does become a box at some point. It's got to, but I think it's okay. Anybody else, please? I could.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, are y'all still interested in having a portico that goes over that front drive?
As far as a covered drop off on the front side, when we worked with this arch design to try to tie that in, the freestanding arch became kind of awkward, and there was concern for me about really how accessible it was going to be to have that overhang come off the front towards the sidewalk, and I don't know if we'll be able to maintain that curbside parking or if we'll have to lose that in the process.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of design question as well as a little bit of just how much space is actually available to make that a usable space, as well as a little bit of cost question as well with drop-offs on the front and the back. Well, having one on the back still gives us the convenience of people being able to drop off in the elements without an issue. Exactly. But probably 80% or more of our days are such that they could drop off on the front side without any trouble. I would picture that kind of horseshoe drop-off area being one-way traffic that people would drop off at the door and then go find a parking spot.
That'd probably be the easiest as far as just space you take up and everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you didn't have the back one, we'd probably be having a discussion about it. But having the back one, I'd have a front door is front door, but it's, if you want to be covered and let out, there it is, so I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and aesthetically, I'm not sure how that would look if you had some sort of covering. I think it looks very nice the way it is. I think it would take away.
The number of lines and angles on the building when we had the drop off involved, trying to match that arch element, which once we decided to carry over those design elements became kind of key. It just got really complicated. We have some renderings of it with a drop off with that arch if you ever want to see one. But it was really busy. The simplified lines on this seemed to work better from a design perspective, and it was just a better looking building.
Okay. I think the only thing, and this is something you won't be dealing with us, it's on our recommendations, but landscaping and stuff is really for once you get to design development review. They'll dictate that. It was noted here, and we'll have it noted in our motion and all, but it's just stating what has to be done later, basically, right? Anybody, any other questions or?
I love it. I love the fact, I live on Scott Street, so I love the fact that this is doing a really good job of hiding the red part of the building.
Agreed, yeah.
Oh, the metal?
It really helps.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yeah, that part of the building would have been prior to some of our current, building codes that we have in place.
Yeah.
I did have just a clarifying question. If we go back to the points or recommendations, there was something about concealing HVAC, and I wasn't sure if that was referring to existing HVAC or if that will be all HVAC in the new building.
That's purely for the new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's going to be fencing. I mean, they have requirements, things that will let you do that.
Right.
Suggestions, I guess.
Okay.
Requirements.
Basically, hedges, shrubs,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
screening.
Again, I'm going to ask again. Anybody have any comments or questions?
I'm going to motion to approve with recommendations as written in the document.
Okay.
A second.
All right, we have motion and a second, and the one thing that number one on the recommendations, is that what you're going to talk about? It's not that we have to necessarily, we've talked about it, about how you're fine not to have the I keep calling it drive under.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The covered
canopy,
drop-off.
yeah, the canopy out front, and if we're not going to have it, then that kind of makes the number one a little less of a discussion point. But
The staff would recommend removing it.
yeah, I think if you're okay with it not having it, we'll just say that we're not going to have the drive-through, the drive-under. That's what it's architecture.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear because I don't want anything to become restrictive. I want to make sure we're on the same page. So as represented with a drive-through would be fine. To try to extend that to a covered drop-off would not be acceptable, correct?
Right. And
that would be
we've
fine.
heard from you too that it wasn't your preferred
That's
preference
correct.
anyway. So
yep. Yeah, I think we're all on the same
okay.
page.
So we're no covered drive, but the drive itself, working with whatever physical constraints are there or what they require on site layout is fine. I mean that's what we're.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had a problem with the drive. It's the cover part of it.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So is that enough? Okay. So one kind of generally talks like that. Is we're not specifying stuff, but I think if Shelby, if you made the motion, do you want to say anything in number one about?
Do we need to, is it necessary
I don't
that we
think
change
so.
it? I don't think that
think
we
so.
have to change it.
I would say just strike.
Okay,
Just strike it.
just
Okay.
to strike
Strike
it, just to
number
be said, okay.
That's just want to get all
Yeah,
our T's crossed.
I'll amend recommendation 1 to strike it.
Okay.
I apologize.
So your
Okay.
motion is for approval with number
Yes.
one recommendation struck from the list.
Sorry, I was trying to find the strike button on my Word document.
And Marie, did you second it? And you're good with that? Okay. All right. So with that said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go. And
Thank you very much.
James has a protocol as far as how to deal with things when you can't get a building permit till you get the
Sounds
COA.
good. We've been in communication.
Okay.
We can follow
Good
up
deal.
afterwards.
All right.
Sounds good.
Good
Thank
deal.
you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Number 2 on our list, let me get to the page here. We have ancillary buildings that were there and are now still there, but not in the same place.
Not in the same place.
That's
Yes, sir.
the long way to say it, but Okay, what your name and address,
My
home
name is
address?
Jason Lawrence. I'm the Director of Support Services for the Conway School District. My personal address is 3540 Rockford Circle,
Okay,
Conway.
all right. So tell us what you got.
Okay, we thank you for having me, first of all. And we had a renovation that you guys approved last year that added a storm shelter at Sally Cone Elementary School. We renovated the 91 and the 1972 buildings, and we took down the 1952 building, which was absolutely not only terrible for kids in learning, but it was a maintenance nightmare. And I know that some people hated to see it go, but
I did. My kids were there 9 years. I was, yeah. But it was a bad little building.
Yes, me and you couldn't walk down the hall beside each other. It was bad. So, and building that storm shelter gave not only our kids a cafeteria and the kitchen, but it also gave the community another storm shelter for severe weather. When we got our plans approved, on the original plan, it said to remove the storage buildings that house our children's tricycles, balls, outside play equipment. It should have said move or relocate, and but that was because that was something that our maintenance people at Conway Public Schools was going to take care of. It was not in the purview of what Nabholz and WER was taking care of. So once they got that parking lot rebuilt, and we put those buildings back up, and they don't look great. I would agree with that, but we've already gotten our plans to clean them back up, and we've got them on concrete slabs, so they're permanent structures. We also are required by DHS and our federal grants for a preschool to have those outside play areas, certain equipment that, like tricycles. They're full of tricycles is what it is, tricycles and balls. We're required to have those, and we're required to have shaded areas, which we've used those metal canopies that you see there. Our request was, to be able to leave them there, so we wouldn't have to do something that would cost another exorbitant amount of money to put a stone structure or whatever you would require.
Sure.
So we looked at those recommendations that the staff had, and we're fine with those. We were, I think we put in there holly trees because that's what we have on the other corner, on the southeast corner of the building, at the storage building, at that loading dock. So we were going to replicate that around those buildings and try to break that up and see if that would work.
Okay. All right. Have you read the recommendations?
Yes, sir.
That they're basically saying maybe substitute some trees, some things, which just kind of mix it up.
Understandable.
Okay.
They have some crepe myrtles and holly trees on there, and those are. When I thought holly trees, I was thinking sticker trees, but it's not. Yeah. It's an evergreen tree, and
right.
So those recommendations, I have no clue what they are. And my mom owned a florist, but that's not a problem with us. We can, and I understand, grow some trees that will grow a little taller, to help block that from the neighbors' view a little bit better.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me stay there unless somebody else needs it. Is anybody else here to speak in favor of the project? Anybody here speak in opposition to it? Okay.
I'm with Nabholz Construction, and we're here in support of it.
Oh, I was going to say, you're not speaking against it, are you? Your timing was a little off there. His hand went right when I said opposition.
You're fired.
Sorry. Okay, we'll bring it back and discuss. My comments on just the buildings, a metal building, we wouldn't want to, from scratch. But these were existing on the site and got moved. I don't know why we would. The landscaping to me should take care of it. If you guys adhere to what the city wants and their direction, existing buildings, if they were where they were, they'd still be these buildings. It's just.
Yes, and
I don't know. It's hard to get to
where they were and the way we extended that parking lot. We were already taking 3 and 4 year olds across a parking lot in traffic.
Yeah.
or potential traffic to the playground. That didn't make sense to us. So we did want to bring those playgrounds, and they can leave the existing building right onto the playground. So it makes it a lot safer.
To me,
for
the
them.
tree, the landscaping will define it more than the building will at some point, in my opinion. I mean, but anybody else have any other comments?
And so the playground happens between the existing building, which I'm assuming is a safe room, and the ancillary buildings? Is that correct?
Actually, that existing building, where it says existing building there, that's the 1972 building. And the playground is between it and those, and the buildings and the landscaping that's drawn there. So in that barren spot right there between.
Yeah. Kind of where the text says existing metal canopy, right in that blank,
Yes,
that white area. Okay.
Yes, sir. There's actually 3 playgrounds because they can only have so many kids per square foot on the playgrounds. A lot of regulations with the feds.
But they got to have tricycles.
Yes, they have to have tricycles and concrete and grass.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of all of it there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my only comment was if we could pull it closer to the existing building, but if that's a functional space, then that makes, and I see the playgrounds in the pictures now, so I think that makes sense.
Again, it would have been part of the original if it'd been thought about. But they didn't bring in buildings from somewhere else; they were just scooted across the site.
I'll motion to approve with the recommendation about the plants that need to be planted.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second, and I will just say with that, just coordinate with the city on the plantings, and that's pretty much all we can do. Yeah. All right, got a motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
sir.
much. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, number 3, we have a new duplex on 5th Street. We have somebody here to speak for it? Yes, ma'am. Just come right up. And I don't know if you were here, name and address when. Yeah. People come in when they're standing. I can't see back there, so I didn't know if you're here or not. You're fine.
Stand.
Okay.
My name is Noemi Castro, and my address is 5220 Stockton Road here in Conway.
Okay.
And I'm here just to, present the duplex that we're proposing on 5th Street.
Okay.
So we did do some adjustments to what the city recommended.
Okay.
And I am going, with the staff recommendations. There's no obstacle that I would see needed.
Sure.
I mean, I know what needs to be done as long as we do it. I mean, that's
Right. Well, and they'll look at it. If there's revised drawings to be done.
yes.
It doesn't have to be tonight, obviously, but before you get the COA, give it to them, and if it checks off, then you're good.
Yeah,
So.
I wasn't able to. There wasn't a problem. I was a problem trying to load them, so Lauren did it. For me.
You didn't have to by tonight. It's just
Okay.
if they've already been made, tomorrow get them to them, and they'll probably be taken care of, right? As long as we approve everything.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. No, if anybody have any questions, we'll talk about it here in a minute. Anybody else here to speak in favor of the project? The recommendation is what we're going to talk about, so I'm not meaning to skip past it. We're going to talk.
that's fine.
Anybody speak in opposition? Okay, we'll call it back. Basically, the list of recommendations, they were lengthy, but nothing that was killing the project. It's just a little tweaking it. So you're good with the driveway off the building a little bit for some landscaping.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The sidewalk issue. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about here? Anybody? Because if you're going to go by what they recommended and you submit to them and they're okay with it, it's going to be kind of an easy. Because the duplex it's a handsome little house. The duplex is a duplex. You got two of everything, and all that. But that's brick, and we got the windows. Will be 1/1 and all that. Yeah, and lowered a little bit. Yeah,
that's why we made the little lines to make sure that they're going to be, at least a foot down.
Yeah.
Below the raise. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll work. That's little stuff that sometimes the drafts person doesn't pick up right. That's not a problem. Again, anybody, please.
Yeah, that's what we look for when somebody comes in, is reviewing those recommendations beforehand and being ready to discuss them. And if you're good with what is outlined.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Her blanket comment that I'm fine with everything. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I mean,
We don't ever hear that.
We don't ever get that stuff.
It's always, there's just one, but no, that's
No, that's
again,
fine.
like I said, it's just some tweaking that's some of it may be an error on the draftsman's part, and but it'll all fix. So
Exactly.
so essentially, if we go to the next part as far as motion, all you got to do is submit the drawings with all this taken into account, and that'll take care of it if we approve it. So I'm not meaning to rush past it, but it's pretty standard.
I mean, I'll motion to approve with the recommendations of, no, Liz can
I have a
motion.
question,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I'll-
No, you can question while I motion,
I did. Hang on.
and then we'll open discussion.
On the site plan, I see that there's a 5-foot sidewalk that ties together the two front porches. Is that the sidewalk that we're talking about? Am I reading this correctly?
No, there's going to be sidewalk out at the street.
Yeah, the revised plan is right next to it.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Very
it's
good.
right there.
Look at you. Okay.
So we did,
yes, I concur.
put the 3 feet, in between the concrete driveway.
Yeah.
So that there's planting, and then
Yeah.
the HVAC is gonna be behind the property, so it's not visual in the front.
Good. Okay.
So it's gonna be raised, about a foot, 2 foot, so that it could seem that's.
That's right, yeah,
the crawl space.
yeah.
You know, those little things are doable, so.
Right. Yeah, it's just that's easy to even if it's slab, it's easy to raise it another concrete block,
Yeah.
and you got 16 inches instead of 8, which is that looks like it's a crawl space. So
Yes.
yeah, okay, good. Again, I appreciate your I'll do it all. That's rare that we
do
hear
it
that. That's you don't have to say it.
Make it easier.
Won't hold you to that, but
Well, then I'll make
you-
a motion to approve as.
My motion was standing, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, she finished her sentence.
Shelby's motion.
Let's
Very
see.
good.
Liz can second
Anyway, I
it.
will second your motion.
And we'll have a fight after the game.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
I'll change it to your name, Liz, if you want to
Okay.
amend.
Sorry.
No.
So we have motion and second to approve it.
With recommendations.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So just, again, get changes up to speed and get to them, and they'll
Send
tell you
it
the
in.
next step.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That'll be a good addition.
All right. We have a last second substitution that got put on my. We have a presentation by the AHPP, our guiding force, guiding light, whatever you.
Guiding
Are you
light.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Fine. This is a little more casual than you got recommendations. We're gonna you're gonna live by it. So just go for it.
Do we need to, is this part official business? Okay, I just want to double check.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting us be a part of your meeting tonight. My name's Scott Kaufman. I'm director of the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. And we are we're the state SHPO office, and we receive a large grant every year from the National Park Service. And we use that to fund our office and to fund grants for historic preservation projects around the state. And every 5 years, the National Park Service wants us to come up with a preservation plan that's sort of a reflective moment, a milestone moment where we kind of look back at what we did and then where we can look forward to planning out the next 5 years. So we've got about a year before we have to submit it. So we're reaching out. So between now and then, we're still reaching out to historic districts and a whole variety of constituents around the state. So I don't really have a lot of remarks prepared for this, but if you would just kind of look at the handout, we're here to really kind of listen to you is kind of what we were kind of hoping. The questions on there are the questions that we're trying to get some feedback so that we can put that in the plan and then that we can ultimately implement this going forward. Like I said, we have really two funding sources. We have the federal grant, which is close to $900,000 every year, and then we get real estate transfer tax, which is $1.5 million. So we have a lot of money. We want to use it correctly. So if you would just kind of look at that, and I have two members of my staff here. I have Travis Ratterman, who's with our National Register program, and Ian Montgomery, who's our new CLG coordinator, lives in Conway, so bonus points there.
Welcome.
So anyway, I guess if you would just kind of look at that, what are your initial thoughts on what we're doing, and are you familiar with our office? I can kind of go over that some more if you'd like.
I think on that first point, the kinds of places that it's most important to preserve, from a Conway perspective,
Yes.
I think obviously our historic residential neighborhoods, transitioning some into, you know, more mid-century neighborhoods that maybe haven't gotten a lot of attention.
Right.
And then particularly downtown.
Yes.
The on the commercial side, the stuff that's starting to be historic for us, not to say that it doesn't have value, but I don't see a ton of value in preserving large parking lots with no landscaping, with concrete block buildings. And so that's, you know, we transition to more value modeled buildings, you know.
Well, and National Register too is really, you know, 50 years to get on, it's 50 years. So we're really at the early 70s now. So
that's unfortunate. Well, what I was going to add to James's comment in that the A.C.P. Robinson District, the beginning of it, the reason for it to be here was not a particular house or particular set of houses or style of houses. It was the neighborhood, the area that was, people would tear a house down to build a duplex, that kind of thing. So it was the area was bigger than what the A.C.P. Robinson ended up being. Just the money wasn't there to have it surveyed any more than what it was. That was kind of what called it.
Right.
So my point basically is too that it wasn't so much individual houses, it was the streetscape, the life streetscape that people had grown up with, and not that it should still be gravel streets and that kind of stuff, but it's the area, and for people to know that area is designated. We've got street signs in the A.C.P. Robinson District, but I think that most people driving through don't notice that, you know.
Okay.
So the talking about kinds of places, things more to preserve are those neighborhoods, but one step past that, we need to delineate that a little bit better, I guess, would be nice. I don't have the answer for that, but it just, you know, that's just my thoughts on the places.
That's a good thought.
Also cemeteries.
Yes.
Which we have one. We have
Right, but I mean that's I think
Yeah.
we need to add that so we can make sure that they still get funding to help
And we have
preserve those.
And we have grants for cemeteries
Right.
also. Yeah. So and to be quite frank, that's one of the ones that.
But you get money for federal grants to fund that, right?
Well,
so
we use federal grants mostly by legal definition, that's to fund the office.
Right.
And then the real estate transfer tax funds are really the bulk, the lion's share of the grants. Mm-hmm. But we have a historic preservation restoration grant. There's 3 options to that. The third option is cemeteries. And that's, of all the ones that we get every year, we don't get a lot of cemeteries. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my point was kind of going into number 2 also as far as types of properties, but it's basically neighborhood as opposed to, I mean, and James said, you know, residential is what we mainly are, but downtown, you know, the commercial we oversee that, but it's not our National Register district. It's the overlay district. So yes, sir.
Let's make sure we get comments from our general public as well.
I don't want comments from him, but and that's fine. I mean, I guess if anybody out there wants to ask a question,
yes, please
raise your hand. I can be quiet at some point, but you know, Taylor thinks not. But no, really, if you have a question, please raise your hand. One of us. Yeah, okay.
Real quick, you mentioned cemeteries, abandoned cemeteries. Do they meet that criteria?
No, but they're cool to walk through.
Needs to be on the National Register.
Do we need to be on the National Register and it's there to help restore the cemeteries? Or?
It's a legitimate pursuit, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
we always like to know where those are at, because we get in touch then with the archaeological survey to make sure it's on their maps as well.
Yes.
So we're always looking at it. The National Register will be the first part of that, and then go towards the granting process to help either clean it up or fix headstones, reset headstones, fix ones that are broken, things like that.
And obviously, we're talking city of Conway, but you all, county, you know.
Well, our office is for the whole state.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're traveling the state all the time.
I also think not only the neighborhoods themselves, but also maybe like the stitching together of the neighborhoods, I think could be kind of important from an urban planning standpoint. Conway has a lot of great institutions from UCA to CBC to
Yeah.
downtown to Hendricks, and it'd be really great if there was a plan to, I don't know if this is as feasible as I'm trying to make it out to be, but a pathway or a few like connecting arterial
working on
streets. There you go, good. That kind of give not precedence, but priority to kind of maintaining some of those avenues. Okay.
I'm on VPAD.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah.
Good.
Number three, just I'm sorry you asked. We had the courthouse was on, I believe, was on the National Register.
Yes.
At the behest of some former people in charge over there, it was taken off because they
Yes.
wanted to tear it down and build whatever. And it's but it's still there. It's still there, and one or two of them are in jail, so it's all good. But that is something I would like. Just it's not something I guess we don't deal with it. I guess.
No, to his point, I think landmarking. If that's something that we could get the state law changed.
Yeah, if that can
to
get
do landmarking, that would be
back into
powerful for us.
Yeah, being protected by whatever we can do to protect it would be wonderful.
Okay.
And that's
interesting.
That's one that's been it's been nothing's going on. The current administration has no problem with it. They've moved people out to other offices around because of just the way it was. It just needs to be upgraded, but they as opposed to tearing it down and build something else, they just got spaces around. So that's
I think
and they
that's
moved
the
some
one.
things.
Didn't we give them a grant?
They got a
They
grant.
gave it back.
Yeah, something like that. Years and years ago.
That
yeah.
was before I started.
Yeah, they had their roof they had redone while they were on the National Register.
Yeah.
It was in bad shape. It got done with a grant of some kind. So
Yeah.
they've taken it, and we're talking multiple administrations, so I can't speak to what they were, but yeah, they've benefited from it, and then the particular ones wanted a new building, and it just kind of tailspin. But but the building's still there, like I said, and they're not. And it'd be nice to be able to even approach the current the current judge and just get that kind of protected. That's something I would want.
Yeah, you have a great grant program. I mean, our museum used quite a bit of money from the grant that helped redo our porches.
Yeah,
things like that.
Good.
So.
Good.
If we could leave with one thing to kind of flag. I mean, not that we're fine otherwise. It's just that's something that's just totally. It's just out there on its own with no real quote protection.
Gotcha.
So.
Good. I
don't stay up at night thinking about it.
We'll look into that.
If we have any buildings here, historic buildings that we need to
I mean,
apply for grants to help.
Residentially speaking, we're covered in the. Just a sec, I'm not going to finish my sentence. No, the ASP Robinson District is our core.
Yes.
And we went as far as we could because that's all the money we had for the survey, and it's odd shape because you go down the street and there's not 51%. Come back, it was that playing the game there, but the city in their wisdom, they came out with a few years later with the overlay district, a donut, and for us to stop what was going on as much as we could. We can't. There's no demolition rules. They can still like normal city stuff, so we can't stop that. But we can. We're ruling over what gets put in and added on to. So that's been a help, and we can add on to the district now a little easier because some of these places have not gone away. So we've looked at that a few times, and back and forth. But
interesting.
Right, Taylor. I'm sorry.
That was kind of my question. Was outside the Robinson Historic District, we've done 2 surveys over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Trying to add to it, and the last one we did kicked it up to y'all, and y'all kicked it up to the feds, and they denied it. And what happens? And I think the only 2 was Travis did. You did the 2 block houses on Conway Boulevard.
Yeah.
But other than that, the rest of it
2-structure historic district over on Conway.
kind of thrown out. And from my perspective, if you looked at downtown Conway from the commercial district over to about Donaghy, the hospital, university over there, that the overlay district around the Robinson Historic District is probably what needs to be preserved the most and is currently having probably the most put into it. We're having a lot of probably 4 or 5 little Airbnbs that popped up downtown where people have done pretty extensive renovations, landscaping, And what do we need to do to continue that? You know, even when you can't put it into a historic district, but to keep that momentum of preservation.
Is it an overlay district? I mean, is there?
So more or less the overlay district around the Robinson Historic District.
Okay.
And because I think we did 2 surveys. And
sounds right.
This was back when Brian was here, and it went on for years. And
Yeah.
It got kicked around.
We're still working with the. I send the contractor a harassing email every 6 months, and they say they're going to resolve all the issues in it, and we're still kicking it around. It's with the college district.
I've been involved. I was staff as chairman when we first got started because the city didn't have staff person at the time. I've been from the very beginning. I've been dealing with this, and when we wanted to add on to the district, see what we got to get a survey done, get a survey in here, do it, and all that. Is there a path to work with you guys first to kind of get some guidance on, not so much pick this one, but a little more working hand in hand previous to and during the survey even? Is that even something you guys do? And we haven't done it that way. I mean, we've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, maybe we did, and I wasn't aware, but I just thought we put a thing out for, and this stuff was done before you, I know, but we just advertised for a surveyor. Somebody do a survey, got a couple of bids and picked one, and then they kind of direct, the direction of, where we're going. And I don't know, it's like Taylor's saying, we got some looked at, and we felt good about it, and then it got bumped, down the road. You guys are okay with it, y'all's office was, and then it went on up and died. So to avoid that, I mean, I know nothing's given, but still.
We would rather be with the city on the front end and
Okay.
sort of figure out where that's going to be on, before we even get to the project point.
Same here.
There was a point with certain staff members where surveys got done that I didn't know were coming in. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't until the contractor dropped them off on my desk that I
Yeah.
really knew.
Well, I know we walked one of the block, the two.
College
Yeah, we walked some of that, but I would rather sit down and or drive around and look at everything on the street and go, no, that's not going to work. This one's great, and find a way to make make the continuity work and make it make sense, and try to get all the bolts in there before it gets sent up the chain. Yeah. So I guess that would be a general request or idea, whatever, if that makes sense. But
good.
I have a question.
Sure.
Here. Yeah. So I'm sort of familiar with Argenta area because my significant other lives there. So for the last almost 2 years, I've been a little bit involved in that. I flip houses. I have Airbnb. I do all this stuff. So the cool thing the Argenta area did quite a few years back, is they went in and bought these properties that were, so in the historic part, they bought these properties then that was run down. Nobody was really doing anything with them. They were a hazard, and then let them go to different contractors or people with the foresight that these people understood they were going to rehab them and get them back up to par. Well, most of them did. Some of them didn't. They're taking them back. Anyway, but that was a great way to keep the cost down and make it affordable. And we're losing the affordability because I've done several of these in Old Town. I've now moved to different areas because it's just not cost effective unless you really pick them up. And that's like a needle in a haystack, pick them up. And we're pushing people out of being able to live in these areas that were living there before because of cost. Okay. So is there something that can happen along those lines like Argenta did that helped that?
I'm sorry, Mary, don't they have as a nonprofit group that drives that?
Yeah,
it's not the Historic District Commission. It's
the community, Argenta Community Development.
Yeah. It's something like that. Yeah, it's a nonprofit thing that's set up for that. That's which obviously we don't have, but that's as opposed to the Historic District Commission. I mean, I'd love if we had something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was asking, if there's, I mean, that's been a while back, so is there
Right.
anything that's popped up like that?
That's not something we really get into for the most part. I think that worked parallel with the Historic District Commission for Argenta. I'm not sure how it got started, though.
Yeah, it was, as I recall, it was just an independent group, a community development group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they worked hand in hand on regulations, whatever, but they didn't mix business. I mean, it was a group that went in and they could then, the rules were easier to enforce because they were following them, or make people do it. So it was a different, I liked the model, but it just, even early on here, that wasn't in the cards, but.
I have seen it work in other cities and other states. A friend of mine, he does window repair up in Michigan, and he was land rented a property, and he has a certain amount of time that he has to. Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And he's actively doing that. So it has worked in other places. We just don't have. I don't think we have the building blocks right now to do it. But there's always, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The commission's not going to be a property owner, and city. It has to be that independent group.
Yeah, I think over on Fifth Street, on that side of Harkrider, would be a great place to start because
there's several. There's a lot of places. I mean, really. But again, I think it's I've thought of it and wanted it since got started with this. But it's just I was watching Argenta do their stuff, and it just because they were model for us when we got our guidelines and stuff came kind of partly from them. So they were the big cheese.
And I
back
think
then.
they were early on in the early 90s when that got started, if I remember right.
Yeah, they've been around a little bit. Yep. But anyway. Well, does anybody else have any these other points? I mean, do we want to go down each one, or just kind of general? I mean, I think
if you guys want to get in touch with us too, I mean,
it'd be great to have another get together, maybe outside the meeting.
Yeah.
Space here.
Anything you think of, you can let us know, and we'll certainly add that to get you some answers.
We can do that.
Or we'll add my email to the bottom of that, which is travis.rotterman@arkansas.
I've got your email. I know I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can get you a messenger message.
Yeah. If you have any questions or comments on that or ideas.
Okay. That may be something we as a group get together and kind of brainstorm on too.
Right.
So, okay.
Well, especially if you're thinking of grants, please call us and let us help you.
We do get questions. I get questions. I'm an architect, and I do sometimes I have projects here, and people want to know about tax credits. And most times they're not going to qualify, but I send them to y'all's office, but I barely am conversing them because I've not dealt with them directly, but I do get them to the right people if I can. So,
well, and the grants too for us, people apply in the fall and then they're awarded in the spring. Mm-hmm. So
I know there's a time frame too.
Yeah, this is a good time to apply.
Well, and we've had several with the commission. We've had several, and benefited from them. So yeah, we'll definitely keep that going.
Have you also thought about surveys to the public? Like those Survey Monkeys and things like different.
Yeah.
Should have went to James at some point.
Okay.
It is out on our website.
Okay.
I guess I need to see if I got it.
It's been out there for a while. It is on our main page on the preservation plan. You'll see a spot over to the right, and it has general questions, and you can check box things you want. You can add your own descriptions into things you want to see, things like that.
Okay.
That is there. If there is one question I wouldn't mind at least having comments for everybody on, it would be number 6. It says what type of resources would be helpful. Just thinking outside the box, things that we don't do that you may want to see from us or even see from the future. Because this plan is not just about us. This is not what AHPP can do for everybody else. This is the statewide plan. So not only do we have to focus it on us, we also have to think, what can the city of Conway do as far as preservation? What can Texarkana do, that way? So we got to think about it holistically for the whole state. So any sort of programs, ideas, things like that you would like to be able to see implemented, things that we can help with, things that we can do. That's really where we'd like to see that. We'd like to hear about it.
Travis, I would love, and this might be something that's been done in the past, but some kind of summit or even virtual meeting between historic districts in the state to share success stories and kind of what they're doing. That's kind of how I learn is from others that are doing something different than us or outside the box, or maybe what we're doing, we can share that with other cities. Oftentimes in my work, I work at UCA in the Center for Community Economic Development, and that's where we hear a lot of our participants, constituents, really where they learn is learning from one another. And so I would love that opportunity if something like that could be put together.
I think another thing.
Yeah.
I've never been able to attend a conference, so I figured there's probably something like that.
Yeah, well,
before,
there was,
yeah.
I think another thing would be maybe perhaps like an educational toolkit that would be a resource that has best practices for commissions and staff to communicate sort of awareness. Because one of the things that came out of our historic preservation plan was, provide quarterly mailings to let people know that they're in a district, and then constantly pushing, which y'all do a great job of pushing awareness of tax credits and those things, but maybe some resources that at the local level that we can use as a toolkit to kind of communicate.
In particular to our district, where it may not be something that another district does or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't dictate color. That's fine. But we're getting people painting old brick, not new brick, but old brick that shouldn't be painted. And, it's awesome on Pinterest. Those photos are great, but it ruins a building.
It does.
The older, pre-30s, whatever, but that's the latest little, and you always have windows getting ripped out when they shouldn't. But I got grant money, the city did, for me to do a workshop on preserving windows back several years ago. So, and
there's a push for that again.
Yeah, I'm available. But
well, we make a note on
Our
that.
technical service person really does want to talk to you about that.
Oh, okay.
She wants to. Brian Driscoll has retired.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I couldn't compete with him. He worked for you guys. I mean, I'm not doing it for money. I'm just, he was always doing it.
Yeah, he was.
But Brian can do that. Our new technical service person is an architect out of the University of Arkansas, and then went to ULR and got her preservation stuff degree. And so she is looking for more opportunities to do window workshops, the hands-on sort of technical side. And so she's looking for people to be able to do that. Either teach her, by doing, putting on workshops, being part of that. That is something she wants to do. She is big into wanting to do more of them out in the public.
Good.
Whether that's how to do new grout, how to do window workshops. Trying to get that active again. And bringing those.
I remember we had several things. This is I've gone through different people at your office and everything, and there was a time when that stuff was kind of constant. The quarterly meetings were always had something that element of it. So that'd be great to get that going. Whether I did or not, but it'd be great to have that stuff going.
Good.
So.
As far as like statewide, you said something that made me, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
That made me think of something that would help our profession. I too am an architect, and we get people coming to us all the time looking for benefits for tax credits and things. And I know just enough to be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But if we could do some kind of like continuing education thing that's offered, that's accredited by the AIA or something that you could offer to not only us, not only to us, but to everyone in the state, that would be really helpful, I think, for our profession.
I just sent them to Tom.
He's just enough to be dangerous, but not to be super informative.
Just some Tom. Just some Tom.
Now, here's just a random question. It's something that's been brought up for years since I've been here, 12 years now. Is we always have that disconnect within our historic districts, especially our overlay districts, where people are buying and selling properties within there, but then they don't know they're inside it.
Right.
So how often do you guys reach out to your realtor bases and say, you're in it.
Yeah.
Here's what that means. It's sort of like a welcome packet into a historic district.
Yep. Well, we did that. It was pre-COVID.
We did it in 19.
Our commissioner that's missing tonight is she was president of the Faulkner County Realty Association. She had us come speak. Yeah, and she had us come speak.
She's good. Good.
But we also gave everybody a flash disc with all of our guidelines, everything on it.
Oh, that's great.
To have, and you can't say you got to use this, but yeah,
you're giving it to them.
Yeah, but she was a big advocate in her position too, and so that's been helpful, and she'll fight to the death for house not to have windows torn out, and but.
Did you get good feedback on that?
I haven't, but I don't know if she has. We haven't talked about it. COVID came soon after that, and virtual and stuff just changed. So no, it's time to get back to those things and everything we're talking about. Time to get back to all that stuff. So
I do feel like, just from my perception of who comes, to our meetings and who we meet with, they seem more aware more often than not. When I first started on the commission, I felt like we had a lot of folks who would come who didn't even know.
We had to educate them standing right here.
Yes, that we even had any guidelines or that we existed.
Or they were put out by the fact
and
they
so
had
I
to
do
be
feel
here.
like that awareness has raised. Is it perfect? No, but I do feel like it.
Well,
it has raised.
tonight's was kind of a pretty
Good
much
example,
easy on
yeah.
all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
We've had worse and we've had better, but
Yeah.
and we've had where nobody was on the agenda. We'd have a meeting, but that happens too every once in a while. But no, it has gotten a little easier. I mean, I've
A lot easier, a lot easier.
Yes, I remember. Taylor was on the commission. When
for
I was
me-
new, I had a couple of eye-raising moments where I was like, "Oh, somebody would come in and be really."
I almost went over the table with
challenging.
somebody one time, so she kept arguing that I'd said something I hadn't, and it was.
I think a lot of our local contractors as well are very aware, and that helps.
That's good.
That helps.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Much,
It is.
much more.
But then there are a couple that
Yeah.
we're still
Yeah.
having to watch, but that's
Yeah.
that's just going to be that
That's just the way it is, though.
Yeah.
It's good
So.
that you have somebody, at least from the Faulkner side of the realtors, you have somebody with an in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We tried to go straight to the top, like statewide, and we were shut out of that whole process.
Really?
We never got in.
Yeah.
We tried, and just never got a foothold to even, have that
Yeah.
discussion.
No, we were. It was the presentation I thought was well received. I mean, we did it. Was they were all eating food, but it was. But they many people. I think she put them on the tables, and some came up and got them. That did. It was. I won't say everyone was taken, but
Maybe we need to do that again, because that's when I was on the road. I didn't get to be there.
oh yeah. To me, frequency helps.
I agree.
Everybody knows that because the people change.
Because there are over 400 realtors, and there's barely 50, maybe to 70 that show up.
This one was probably 75 or so. It was not bad, but yeah, you're right. It wasn't all of them, but the ones that would sell properties like that are going to be interested. The ones that don't care.
Right.
And that's I understand that.
Yeah.
That's understandable, but still.
Well, telling on myself, we did for the 20 grant get money to work with the title companies.
Oh yeah.
I just with everything didn't get that done. We had to turn that back. Yes, but I think that is another good option is working with the title companies. One of the things that was a recommendation out of our historic preservation plan was to first work in a nice manner with the title companies to make them aware,
Yes.
and then phase 2 was to pass an ordinance that required every time there was a sort of a transfer that at closing that they would have to include certain information about if it was in Old Conway or if it was in
Part of the signature,
That's
the
good.
3,000 signatures
Yeah.
you do. Let that be that. Yeah, that was a good idea. We just let it go one time. We'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll have to apply for that again.
Yeah, but it's an education thing. It
really is.
We had president of the realtor group. She was like, here, just do it, and that was easy. She was up in front of everybody. But this one, it may take a little education on people, but they've got so many other things that are silly. It seems like that you got to sign and be told about. This is something that pertains to that piece of property. That's kind of some people don't buy it unless they buy it because of the historic stuff. So if they know, it's just a good thing to have.
That's good.
But okay.
Kind of going back on your point and then to circle back to your toolkit idea, do you think maybe a very sort of brief layman's booklet that you could hand out to people would be?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
To the community, just
Definitely.
nothing fancy or anything, just sort of architectural style
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Would that be
Yeah, I've thrown out there several times, and it's just a matter of somebody we have to do it. But a newsletter, and we have Conway Corp can tell us everybody's name and address, here in town, and a newsletter that would be something a pared down version of that. A letter from the chairman about kind of catching up what happened at the last meeting, even if the agenda is known for the next one. Just things like that, and then a first page would be don't paint your effing brick, but informative things, items in it, and handbook type stuff, but that quick disposable stuff too, But the booklet would be
Well, that would be great. A booklet to hand a realtor to hand to someone who just bought a home
in
Oh, no,
historic.
exactly.
You know,
Or the
like
title-
here's,
or
you
the
know,
title
here,
company.
yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
This
No,
is, these are the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Or that has listed a home before anybody ever looks at it.
Right.
Yeah,
So that
exactly,
they know.
exactly.
Because a lot of,
Go,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead, Marie. Fit.
No, I would, I just,
I was going
You
I was
finish.
going to say, a lot of people don't understand that Conway Corp, the sewer situation and the utility situation down there is as it is. I bought my house in 2012 and did not know until then that my sewer was not connected to Conway Corp. So there's a lot of blocks down there that's like that. And people don't know until they have sewer issues. So that's something that I think should be told, that Conway Corp. Oh, gosh, yeah. It is not fun. And you're talking about $30,000.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a big deal. And a lot of people do not know that.
Does Conway Corp have a map that shows that?
Yes, and I have asked them. So I'm about to ask them again, because I had another past client buy on college, and they ran into the same situation. It was not disclosed. The previous owners knew it. So that's something I'm really wanting to advocate. Yes, I'm really wanting to advocate for that, because that is $20,000 to $40,000 easy, depending on where you're at, to get that upgraded. And you have sewer in people's backyards, on College, on Scott Street. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Just two comments. How, I think you all have volunteer positions, but anyone kind of take social media by the horns?
We haven't.
No.
We don't. Or
That one.
yeah. No, I mean that's
I
a.
can see some really cool TikTok videos.
Yeah.
I think we could probably work better with the city to request that the city share that information. I would not recommend that we create a new page for us, but I think that is something we could probably do better.
It's been talked about and thought about, and just like a newsletter is old school, but
Mm-hmm.
if it comes, I get Conway Corp has their newsletter that sometimes look at, but it's in the hand, at least for walking from getting the mail to the trash can, but people are looking at it,
And you can put them in waiting room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that,
The other thing is,
yeah.
as far as education, I'm not sure where consumer education, homeowner education is, but title conveyance would be.
That's what James has already worked with at one up here. James worked with that. We've done it, and we're going to relook at it. Yeah, that's come up, and to me that's the minimum we should do. When you buy a home, you should know what your home consists of. You already do everything else, or unless sewer's not disclosed. But still, it should be, to me. It's a legal area you're living in, the legal responsibilities of every homeowner, and you should know that you're in it. So exactly.
Well, and two, going back to education, I know virtual has become the new buzzword.
Right.
And I know where I work, we've done a lot of interviews and Zoom programming and virtual programming, where you could do a workshop. One person could record, talk about these topics, and have it available for someone to click on, create a page, and really inexpensive way. I'm thinking of, you don't have to spend a lot of money for someone to record themselves talking about these issues.
Right.
That's just another way of
getting
education out to folks,
Yeah.
because we've become such a digital world where people, they don't really want to. I love the newsletter because I'm a newsletter person, but in the museum field, now nobody wants to read a newsletter. They want you to talk to them.
Right.
They want to watch you. They don't want to read.
That would be easy to do.
Well, we've had a lot of success with our virtual programming. We do this sandwiching in history, where we would normally go to a site, and we're doing it virtual, and the numbers now are just skyrocketing.
Good.
So to answer your question, I think maybe some technical
Yeah, because you'll do a good job with the sandwich and
Yeah.
history and all that, and that's great. That's the history part.
Yeah.
But people have like technical issues.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That's something we're looking at for sure.
Good.
I know Molly wants to do that as part of the technical hands-on training stuff and getting people that know how to do the window workshops.
Exactly.
Or how to replace mortar where your mortar falling out, or what is soft
And
mortar.
all of that can be done, record and have a video or in person with the group. It's multiple ways of doing it.
She is very big into that. That's what she really wants to push.
Cool.
It's only less than a month into her
And
job, so.
also, let me throw this out there. I'm also past board member, but I'm still ex officio of the Arkansas Museums Association, and we have a conference every year, and the next one's going to be in March 22. We're always looking for session ideas, and some, this is where you get in front of museum folks, and this would be a good time maybe to get on and talk about a session, because I think people would love to come to these sessions, especially in the museum field, and that's just one way, go to different conferences, I guess. But I know I'm helping plan that conference in March, and I know we'd love to have you as part of the session.
Okay, so March of 22.
It's going to be March 20, the last weekend of March, the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of March, 2022 at Lake DeGray State Park.
Okay.
I had that very discussion on the first day of my class at UALR, because most of my students are public history, so they could go archives, they could go museums, do the preservation track. And so I had that discussion the first night. What do you really want to do? And some of them will say museums, and I was like, what's the best artifact that most of you have? And there's usually something small, like whatever it is. I'm like, the building you're sitting in is probably the best artifact you have in your entire place.
I have a 181-year-old building.
Exactly. And it's like, that is your best artifact.
Where Douglas MacArthur was born.
And we need to, preserve that the same way you do the smaller items.
Right.
Same conservation ideas. And they look at it totally different when you talk to them that way over just, a pistol that's in a side drawer in a room somewhere.
Yeah.
Think about holistically. What are you sitting in? Why are you even here? The building that is the important part.
Going back to your hands-on classes, do you have anything on insulating these buildings, single-family residence?
I don't. We did. Going closed cell or going.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So things like that. Molly has those, and she's our new technical service person. But
Because that's huge. That's a huge deal.
Yeah. Spraying versus.
And people do not understand how you have to, a crawl space is totally different than slab. You have to do it a certain way or you create more problems. And a lot of people do not understand that.
And that even goes back to waterproofing crawl spaces.
Right.
Yep.
I think it sounds like Molly, again, being a month on the job, you said. Hopefully, and she's wanting to do
those
this.
things will be happening.
Yeah,
at
we
some
can get
point.
that stuff going pretty good.
Sooner than later.
Are we?
We're good.
We appreciate
thank
y'all
you for
coming.
letting us.
It was going to be boring talk about bylaws. That got X'd. I'm glad we did this. But
Well, good. Well, if
I
you
guess
think of anything after we're gone, please
we'll
let
do
us
it.
know. And
if y'all have any questions of us too on this end, we just try to do what we're supposed to do, kind of thing. And I hope we presented well tonight. I didn't know I had that pressure on. I'm glad I didn't. But
y'all do a great job.
Can I talk about one thing before we close?
Okay.
So one of the things with EM being new and new turnover inside federal programs, one of the things that we're advocating for is having a more active HDC board and a lot of the stuff that we're doing on the National Register and Survey side. And that's getting comments back from you guys on nominations that we present within the city of Conway. Let's say we do an individual property. We send that to James, and then James is supposed to send us a letter back saying that you all have discussed it, you either agree or disagree with what we do. And we get that. We're trying to do a more active HDC, especially with the survey projects that are going on. Russellville just did a really good job with theirs. They actually, and Little Rock's been doing it for a while, they actually get the surveys before I get them on a draft. And so their board meets beforehand, roughly goes through them, because you guys know more about those buildings than I do. And so they are actively going through those surveys, finding things that are wrong with them or things that they want to talk about before they send them to me.
It's kind of a knowledgeable filter.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
you guys know more about those buildings and live here and see them. I just get them in pictures and then I make comments on them based on that. But if you guys know about that on the front end, you can get that even before it gets to me. So it's just more about being an active group in that process. It's just something we're trying to promote in the office to get everybody on board.
If that's another way to get us working together, and then at least we should. Well, we should know what's going on here. I mean, and not so much like, no, you shouldn't touch that, but it's just nice to know. And then
because inevitably, it's your guys' grant for your area, so you're active in that process.
Okay.
And so you guys got a couple of them going on here this week. So
we didn't know that.
We're adding the Hendricks edition.
What? Finally! Oh my Lord!
Yeah, that just
now we got to educate that whole group about what they can and can't do on their. Yeah.
In addition to downtown.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. We've been wanting that forever since they got their.
Well, it's the first step. The first step is resurvey.
Right.
Then we update the nomination form. Then we start the process.
But it's moving forward as opposed to
along.
sitting there. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's good. Good deal.
All right.
Another hat to wear.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Have a
guys.
good evening.
That's
Thank
the
you.
trip. Oh, sorry.
I second.
We're done.